But first, the power to create a national no-fly list, we always said, would be used to create a no-gun buy list. It's Kafkaesque. You're not arrested. You're not charged. You can't find out who put you on the list. You can't get off the list. Now you can't have a job. You can't get on a bus, go to national parks. You can't get on a plane. You can't own a firearm if you're on that list. And they now admit they've got over 1,200,000. In the last 8 months, they made the list secret. So it's probably 1.5 million by now. They admit, they say the government and other corporations are working on these lists where they'll say your website is not true. Well, creating a list that tracks what people are saying and doing and where things are flagged, and we know Wikipedia was the model of that, where my name is spelled wrong, most of the stuff on there is a lie. They won't even let me change it or anybody else change it. I've sent them mainstream news articles showing what I'm saying is true, and they don't care. Now, this CIA, admittedly runs Wikipedia, model is now going to be the whole internet where they take control. They place things over your computer screen, and that's only phase one. The power to track internet is the power to then block you going to those sites. And the Pentagon's on record under the Cybersecurity Act, not just in the bill with Jay Rockefeller, but for those that don't know, in the actual cybersecurity announcements and symposiums that we posted the links to, the video, they brag that they're going to, quote, shut down opposition to the government in the U.S. by just shutting off IPs. And already, JonesReport.com, Infowars.com, PrisonPlanet.com, you can't go to them at most libraries, and we've gotten the screenshots. It says this is a site that teaches you criminal skills or hacking or racism, and they're banning our YouTube videos saying racism when it's not even about race. So we can see the new tyranny. Mike Rivero, break it down.
You're absolutely correct here. My own experience with Wikipedia, they used to have articles about whatreallyhappened.com. They had an article about me personally. It was filled with a lot of distortions. I went in to correct it. I'd go back. The original lies were back in. I'd go in and correct it again. They'd put the lies back in. I'd go back in to correct it. It was locked against editing. And I'm not kidding you. Wikipedia told me that I was not allowed to change the article about Michael Rivero because I was not a recognized authority on the subject of Michael Rivero. When I wrote back and I said, I am Michael Rivero, they simply deleted the articles. And you're absolutely right. They're trying to block websites. If you go to a U.S. military base, the computer security there, it is insane. In fact, the computer security on military bases is so tight, the computers are all but unusable. And definitely you are not allowed to see any Alex Jones sites. You're not allowed to see what really happened. They are terrified the word is getting out there. And yes, they're openly talking about finding some way to take the truth away from the people, to force us to go back to living in a culture of lies and deception, because that is the only way they know how to rule us. And, the thing with the no-fly list turning into a no-gun list, turning into a no-job list, this is the government using terror on the American people, because you're terrified if you get on that list, your life is functionally over. You can't work, you can't travel, you can't have a normal life. This is just like they used to do in Stalin's Russia, in the Soviet Union. If you got on the bad enemies list, the government would destroy your life with impunity, and everybody around would say, oh, he's on the list, he must be a bad person. Now, of course, we recognize that that was definitely not the case. We know in our own past history in the United States that the blacklists were very often, in fact, usually, tools of intimidation and persecution.
And this is 100 times bigger and worse than the blacklist. They're admitting it's going to be a no job, no travel, no gun list with no judge, jury, no evidence. So we're now being given the choice, liberty or slavery, freedom or tyranny. If we are cowed, if we let the chilling effect work and start self-censoring, they will win. But if we say, look, you can't pull us all on list, you bastards, they lose. Here's an example, Mike. 3 weeks ago, a young man, junior in high school, put up several hundred posters in Florida. They came, the state attorney general said they may arrest him. When that happened, everybody statewide, every major town, it was all over the news, put up the Joker Infowars.com poster. Then it spread all over the world. That intimidation made it blow up 100 times 100. And so now they're dropping charges, backing off, saying it's okay, it's okay. The Washington Post came out and said, don't censor it, free speech, because the tyrants know we are going to win. And that's why I've said, I want to live, I don't want to die. But if they kill me or set me up, I'm doing it for my family. I'm doing it for humanity. I have just become a giant fertilizer bag to the mighty oak of liberty. And if you have that attitude of I'm going to fight you 110%, you can't be beaten, Mike. They can beat us individually, like V for Vendetta. Ideas, though, are bulletproof, and I just thank God I know people like you, Mike, and I thank God we're part of the 21st century, 1776.
Well, my personal opinion is that the U.S. government is going to go the way of the former Soviet Union. It is on the verge of collapse economically. It has lost the trust of the American people. It literally cannot function because the only way it could control the American people was to lie. We now know about the lies. We're not going to go back to being led by lies willingly. And as a result, I'm convinced this government is doomed. There is no way to save it. And we're seeing a lot of panic on their part right now. But in the end, I think it is going to collapse, and we're at the point where we have to start thinking, what do we want to bring on to replace it?
All right. By the way, Provocateurs and In the Fed Rally article is up. I'm looking at photos and videos of these guys. They're definitely cops. These aren't just provocateurs or hired informants. I can look at these guys. They are police 100%.